the situation, you know, in South Africa, like for 50 years. This was exactly the situation that was there in South Africa for like 50 years. It's just a system based on separation, segregation, and racism. Okay, you got the point?
Yes.
Very good. Now, guys, I will share some pictures. I'll display some pictures, and I want you to look at these pictures, and later we discuss your let's say we discuss your feedback. You ready? Are you ready?
Yes.
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 There we go. There we
Yes.
go. Very good. Now, you see the pictures? You see the first picture?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
see the kids?
Right.
You see the kids there, yeah? Very good. Sometimes I need someone to help me reading some notes, okay? Good.
Oh.
So this is the first picture, as you can see, you know. We move on. What's that?
White on.
White
That's
only.
racist.
Yes. White person was classified as, you know, here we talked about, by the way, gents, these things were declared by law. It means like there were a lot of laws that encourage or oblige these things in society. Good. Can anyone read this, please? Rules under apartheid.
I read
Yes,
Oh.
please go ahead.
rules under apartheid. The population. Apartheid.
Yes.
The Population Registration Act of 1950 requires all citizens of South Africa to be classified into categories according to their race.
Very good.
The reservation of separate amenities Act of 1953 created separate public facilities to be used by whites and blacks. Blacks forfeited the civil rights under several laws passed by the national government. They were forbidden to engage in political activity and exercise their democratic rights.
Good. Thank you very much. Taking the first point here, the Population Registration Act of 1950, this is a law, required all citizens of South Africa to be classified into categories according to their race. In South Africa, there were like 4 social classes. We have number 1, the whites, number 2, the natives or the blacks, number 3, Indians, and number 4, colored. When talk about colored, we're talking about, like Latinos, like, colored. They're not white, they're not black, colored, like, as I said, Latinos and other, let's say, races and ethnicities. So 4 groups: whites, blacks, Indians, and colored. Okay, so this is by law. It has to be, when you talk about the registration here, we're talking about your ID cards, we're talking about even the place you live in. You have to live in a place or in an area that has the exact population that you belong to. Okay? And as I said, this is by law. Now, someone else to continue with the city of Durban. This is a city. Can anyone help me reading this note, please?
Can I read it?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
City of Durban. Under Section 37 of the Durban Beach Bylaws, this bathing area is reserved for the sole use of members of the white race group.
As I gave you this example of the Half Moon or Ras Tanur and whatever, you go there and said you're not allowed by law. You're not allowed to be there. And this is, of course, something like, it's a pity. It's really a pity. Good. So under Section 37 of the Durban Beach Bylaws, this bathing area is reserved for the sole use, for the only use, for the sole use of members of the white race group, means like only, right? So nobody else is allowed to be there. What's that? What's that? Next.
Waiting room for colored only.
Very good. This is a waiting room. For example, either in a bus station or a train station or at the airport and whatever. This is or an administration, for example, in a building or whatever. So this waiting room is only for colored. Whites should not be there. Blacks should not be there. Indians should not be there. Only colored. Look at this picture here. What can you see here? We have two main parts of the city. It's just one city, one area, but this area is divided. What do you think? You see the picture, of course, yeah?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Like how the other groups living in the shanty town and like the other living in like a rich area.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Your thoughts, your comments about this? Yes, John, please. Wake up. Wake up.
Maybe this is a racist.
Oh, yes, of course. You see, like we have very rich people enjoying our facilities. You have swimming pools. You have very nice flats. We have football fields and everything. And the other side, of course, the crowd living together in asylums. So this is really, really significant in highlighting the differences between these two social classes. Okay, let's move on. Look at this. Anyone else? Yes, please, can help.
Can I read?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Colored seated in rear. We
Okay.
cater to white trade only.
Mm-hmm.
Restrooms pointed to the right, white only.
Mm-hmm.
Colored waiting room.
Yes, this is really, really, this is a pity. I'll go for this. For use by white persons, these public premises and the amenities thereof have been reserved for the exclusive use of white persons by order provincial secretary. So as I said, all of these bad things were encouraged by law. Next, imperial laundry. This is really funny. Imagine, guys, you went to the laundry in order to take, for example, your clothes, your father's and your brother's and whatever, and yours. And when you get there, they will ask you, "Oh, I'm so sorry, you cannot wash your clothes here. You need to go to another laundry." Yeah, this is something like this is so ridiculous. The laws of apartheid determined where people could live. Blacks were separated into different townships. Jobs they could hold, even if you are black, for example, you cannot have good jobs. You have to be either a farmer or working, let's say, in mines and farms and factories. So you cannot be an engineer or a teacher or a politician or whatever. Education they could receive, so maybe you only have a specific level of education. You cannot have graduate and postgraduate. Pass laws, and this is very important. All blacks had to carry passbooks that were used to control their employment and free movement. If you, for example, you caught in a white area, then you will be, arrested by police. Only if you have the pass, books. It's like a gate pass or something that you need to get into that area. Law authorized segregated public facilities and denied any representation of non-whites in the national government. So when talking about the government, there should be no non-whites in the government. They have to be all, let's say, whites. Look at here, even the stairs here, non-Europeans only, and then Europeans only. And this is really racist. This is a beach as well, white area by order secretary. So it means if you violate these laws, you will be under arrest, right? Good.
Yes.
Excellent. So as I told you guys, this is what was happening in South Africa in the time between like the second part of the 20th century, from 1948 to 1994, something like that. And people suffered a lot, you know, of this, you know, racial system, right? What is the word apartheid? I think you heard about this word here. Apartheid. Apartheid. What's apartheid? Good. Any idea about the word apartheid? Good. Apartheid is not an English word. It is
Like a system.
yes, it is enough. Very good. It is the system. It is the system that ruled South Africa from 1948 to 1994, as I said. This was called apartheid. It is a label, or the label of the system that was governing South Africa. But apartheid itself, as I said, it's not an English word. It is in Afrikaans. It is the language that, you know, native South African people speak. Afrikaans and Zulu. We have a lot of languages, by the way, in South Africa. But this is in Afrikaans. This word is in Afrikaans. It means, in English, it means separateness. It means separateness, the system of separateness. This system would separate people into racial, let's say, groups. Okay, is that fine? Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. So here, I'm just putting you in the context. Our story today is about apartheid. This story is written by Nadine Gordimer. I think you have your books, right? Do you have your books with you guys?
Yes.
Very
Yes,
good.
yes.
Yes.
Excellent. So you take we take our books, page 11. Page 11. Page 11, and as you can see here, a short story by Nadine Gordimer. I'm not sure if you can see the screen here. It is shared down the screen.
Yes, we can see.
Good. Do all of you have your books? At least the
Yes.
ones who are present here with me. So we have Ahmed, we have Khalid. Do you all have your books? Yes.
Yes,
Khalid.
I have.
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. So this is the first story that we're going to deal with in this collection. Nadine Gordimer, by the way, it is a very nice story that would tell us a lot about the situation that was ongoing in South Africa during that era. As I told you yesterday, I want you to bear this into consideration, guys. When talking about literature, we're talking about the way we think. We're talking about the way we see things, the way we interpret, the way we investigate, the way we question things. So when talking about literature, you have to be ready, you know, to build a vast imagination, to interpret everything, to ask everything, not to take everything for granted. We need to stop and ask every time. We need to build interpretations, and all your interpretations will be right and will be approved if they are, of course, reasonable. The only condition that we have when talking about literature, the only condition that you have to take into consideration when giving your interpretation is that it is logical and reasonable. It means, like when I say, it's not nonsense. It is really sensical. It means something, right? As far as you stick to this rule, then your interpretation will be welcomed. You see what I mean? You see what I mean?
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
So please, we need to stop looking at literature like, you know, it's just for fun and we go, oh, maybe it is boring. We're talking about things. No. If you want to build a very good personality, very strong, powerful, knowledgeable personality, you have to deal with literature seriously. Because when talking about literature, we're talking about history. We're talking about the human experience. We're talking about culture. We're talking about meaning. And this is really important. You know, guys, without meaning, there is no life. Now, if I ask you, for example, why do you do something? You say, because I like it, because I love it. Why you love it? Because you find something there, you find meaning. Say, for example, do you like a family? Of course I like my family. I love them all, you know, like my parents, my siblings. If I say yes, you say, if I say why, for example, you would say that I find meaning there. Because when I talk about my parents, we're talking about sentiments, we're talking about emotions, we're talking about peace, we're talking about tranquility. We're talking about my siblings, for example, I'm talking about, you know, solidarity, we're talking about brotherhood, you know, we're talking about, you know, harmony, we're talking about cooperation. You see what I mean? You find meaning in that. So without meaning, life itself is nothing. Life itself is nothing. So all what we should do here is to be ready to take journeys all the time to any part of the world. Here today, when South Africa, maybe tomorrow, or the next story would take us to the United States, and that will happen, of course. To the United States, we need to go to Asia. We need to know things. We need to know. We need to discover this world. And I think at your age, this is the best time to flourish. This is the best time to grow up in your minds, to learn new things, to discover new things, and to acquire new skills, especially when talking about thinking. As far as you can think well, as far as you can see things in an appropriate way, this means like, yes, you're free now. Just do it yourself. You see what I mean? Do you see what I mean? You got my point, John.
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Good.
Yes.
So very good. So we get back to our story here. Nadine Gordimer. So in 1923, 2014. Of course, this lady died like 6 years ago. You know. Yes, I need someone to help me reading the background information. Can anyone do it, please? Then?
Can I read?
Yes, of course. Please remind me of your name. Is that
I'm
Ali?
Mishari.
Mishari? Very good, Mishari. Yes, please. Go ahead.
Nadine Gordimer was born in South Africa. Her family was privileged
Privileged.
privileged and white in a country that practiced apartheid, an official policy of segregation of non-white South Africans enforced by the government.
Yes.
Nadine Gordimer became politically opposed to the policy. Her early works, such as The Soft Voice of the Serpent and The Lying Days, explore themes of exile and the effects of apartheid on internal life in South Africa. Before apartheid ended in 1994, some of Gordimer's writings were banned by the South African government. However, these texts were appreciated in other parts of the world. She has been awarded many literary prizes, including the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1991.
Very good. Thank you very much, Mishari. So as you can see here, this is the writer, the author of our story, Nadine Gordimer. Of course, she died in 2014, just like 6 years ago. As you can see from the picture that she is white. Yes, it means like, was really privileged. When talking about this, we're talking about a white person that had all the benefits of the country, all the privileges, and they had everything, to live like abundantly. So this lady was having, let's say, the chance to live, like a queen, right? But what's the problem here? Is was Nadine Gordimer, or did she approve the things that were happening there in South Africa? Was she okay with what was going on in South Africa? Was she?
No.
Yes, and you said, as you can see this, Nadine Gordimer became politically opposed to the policy It means what? She rejected the racist view that the government was supporting. Said this is not fair, this is not just, this is not right. Guys, what you're doing is totally wrong. We should try to live together in peace, not to segregate and separate our society into different groups. You got my point? So as you can see here, before apartheid ended, some of her writings were banned. You know, they were not allowed in South Africa to be published, to be distributed and whatever. But in other parts of the world, these texts were really appreciated because she was like struggling. She was doing her best in order to say the truth, to say what she thought it was right. And of course, she was rewarded one of the most notorious prizes in the history of mankind, which is the Nobel Prize. This is really, really important. And she got that in 1991, just a few years before the apartheid system, of course, ended. What is the title of our story, guys? What is the title?
Once Upon a Time.
Once Upon a Time. Once Upon a Time. Does this title remind you of something? Once Upon a Time.
It's like a story, like Once Upon a Time.
Excellent. It's like a story. It takes us back to the fairy tales. You know, the fairy tales and these legends and myths and whatever, right?
Yes.
Good. Excellent. Now, I'm not sure if you can hear the voice here, the audio, but can you? No.
No.
Yes. So I need just someone to help me reading these texts. Yes. Oh, I just. Who is that? I'm sorry.
Michelle.
Thanks, Michelle. But I need someone else, please.
Okay.
Maybe Ahmed, maybe Khaled, maybe. Yes. Nawaf. What about Nawaf?
Yes, Mr.
Yes, Nawaf. Please, could you help us reading the text here, the introduction at least?
Yes, okay.
Very good. I need a very nice tone, ya Nawaf, and I know that you can make it. Yes, please.
Okay, 1 minute.
Yes, take your time.
Yes, okay, Mr.
Yes, please.
Once upon a time, someone has written to ask me to contribute to an anthology of stories for children. I replied that I do not write children's stories, and he writes back that at a recent Congress book fair seminar, and certain novelists said every writer ought to write at least one story for children. I think of sending a postcard saying I do not accept that to write anything. Yeah. And then last night I woke up, or rather was wakened without knowing what had roused me. A voice in the echo chamber of the...
A voice in the echo chamber of the subconscious. Echo chamber of the subconscious. A sound, a creaking of the kind made. Yes?
I complete.
Yes, please, do.
A creaking of the kind made by the weight carried by one foot. After another along a frozen floor, I listened. I felt the apertures of my ears descend with concentration.
Thank you very much, Nawaf. Thank you. I really appreciate it. So someone Someone has written to ask me to contribute to an anthology of stories for children. I mean, like someone asked me to write, to contribute, to take my part in writing some children's stories. I reply that I don't write children's stories, and he writes back that at a recent Congress, like a meeting, book fair, seminar, a certain novelist said every writer ought to write at least one story for children. Ought to here like obligation, ought to write at least one story for children. I think of sending a postcard saying I don't accept that I ought to write anything. And then last night, so this is the introduction here. The writer says that someone asked her to write, for children stories, and she rejected that kind of I ought to. I think we ran out of time, but we getting back to this, inshallah. I think there will be another session, the 7th, I think the last one, right?
Yes.
Yes. So because we ran out of time, before we leave, guys, thank you very much. I want to ask you if you have any questions, any remarks.
No, thank you.
You sure? All of you. Ahmad, Mshari, Abdullah, Hazem, Mazen, sorry, Nawaf. You good? You fine? You good? No
Yeah,
questions?
Yes.
Very good. We continue with this, inshallah, later on with the last session. See you later, and enjoy your day. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.